Hey everybody, Charles Calhoun, aka the Shade Tree Pro. You know, back at my little favorite spot. You got to forgive the dog barking in the background because you know it is the neighborhood. But anyway, listen, there was a gentleman who put a post up, and you all have seen me do the videos where I do it. You want to say close up, right to the at me hitting at impact. Well, he put this video up, and he put it up, in my opinion, he put it up in a negative light in comparison, talking about what high handicappers do. And personally, I don't like when people take one of my videos. I mean, they can, but I'm going to respond to it and use my videos in a negative light of what you shouldn't do, to blah, blah, blah. And especially when they don't have the experience as a teacher, and especially as a teacher, to be able to say from experience that they know this is how something goes or doesn't go. They're only doing it based on their opinion of what they believe. And the thing is this is what the video or what it was displaying. Now, if you look here, and I made this kind of like this little golf club here. And the thing is with this golf club is this, is that the video was showing that, you know, when most amateurs or high handicappers, their biggest flaws in a sense or whatever is taking the club face back shut, and then all of a sudden it leads to all kinds of pull hooks, all these different things or whatever. Well, yes, that can be true, but that's only based on the lack of information or the lack of knowledge of those people teaching them to understand how you control the club face, in essence. They always want you to focus on, you know, setting up there with the square club face. Well, personally, I think the square club face is what leads to all the problems. That's almost kind of like I did the video about zeroing out about the square alignment sticks, in the sense that, you know, you standing square, you don't know which way you're going. But if I got a little bit this way, I know I'm going that way. If I got a little bit this way, I know I'm going this way. You know, so those are the things, like I said, experience teaches you. So my problem that I had was this, and I want you to see this, is that when you're going to use something as an example, then you need to understand what the individual does. Now, in my top-down swing system and philosophy, you know me, I predominantly hit a straight shot to a fade, and I'll show you why, and I'm going to even tell you where some of this stuff comes from. Well, anyway, when I take the club back, using this as an example, I always take the club back just a little bit shut. And here's why I take it back a little bit shut. When I take it back a little bit shut, and then all of a sudden when I make my top down swing, and when I roll the shaft, guess what? I roll that shaft to that club face is open. I roll that shaft, once again, when I come down, I roll that club face or roll the shaft so the club face will come open. And if I'm looking at a clock in front of me, I'm rolling it clockwise. So that is the whole purpose of it. And why? Because it's based on action, reaction. In other words, if I bend my arm, then the next thing it is going to straighten. You know, that's kind of like action, reaction. The action, bending the arm, the reaction or the next action after it that's going to react is to straighten it. So it's the same thing here. If I take this club face back closed, then all of a sudden the next action that I know to come down, I'm not going to close it more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make an action that's going to open the club face. Now the problem that gets with many of you all is this, is that when you get up to your swing and you start with your body, now you haven't put in it, and you go with a shut club face, and then you keep it shut, and then all of a sudden now you just turn your body. You haven't done anything to the club face because the body is not opening the club face. It's the forearms and arms and everything that's actually opening the club face. So when these people making these assumptions, and that's all they are is assumptions, I'm gonna go as far as telling you that the square club face is what's really causing you the problem. And here's why. When you set up with that club face square, in a sense, it's almost like, what's his name? In the movie The Karate Kid, you know, when he was telling Danielson, when he was telling him, if you go left, good, you go right, good, you go middle, you get squashed like grape. Well, this is kind of the same thing here. Is that when you set this club up and you got it quote unquote perfectly square, then all of a sudden when you take it back, you are not going to keep this thing perfectly square. You're going to be feeling, thinking, and then all of a sudden when you get up here, okay, which way do you roll? Do you go this way, you know, or do you go that way? High handicappers, they don't really understand how the shaft connects to allow you to control the club face. So all of a sudden they're doing everything except controlling the club face. So it's the squareness, because here's what happens. And it's so funny to me. All of a sudden that high handicapper, he comes down here because, believe it or not, when you drop, the arms naturally want to roll under, not over. And that's kind of like Ben Hogan said, throwing sideways. So all of a sudden this high handicapper, he gets up here and he's heard all this stuff. Oh, keep the club face, get your stuff square, get this square and all this or whatever, body, all these things. And then all of a sudden when he makes this move down, in essence, you can feel that club face in essence. And then what does he do? He spins his body. He never does anything to the club face. And if this club face is square from the beginning, I turn my body, it's going to open and I'm going to hit slices. And then next thing you know, they tell you, oh, you need to strengthen your grip. So now you strengthen your grip. So what happens when you strengthen your grip? You end up closing the club face. I mean, this is the moronic stuff that I hear that just drives me nuts. Because like I said, you know, that's why it's just so many bad teachers out there. Because they don't have enough experience to really understand. They haven't put in the time, and all they're doing is copying what somebody else is saying instead of really putting in the work and find out what's happening. You know, action reaction is a big thing that Mo Norman talked about. He said they don't teach action reaction anymore. They just throw something up on a screen, trackman it, and say, hey, this is how it's supposed to be done. Well, look, getting out on the golf course is not a video game. I think Rory showed that and understood it. That's why he been hitting in the net for the last 4 weeks, and you notice that he did win. And you know something else? I look on some of these posts, I don't see nobody really talking about that. I don't see anybody talking about, hey, Rory he didn't use his seeing what his ball flight is and this and that and everything else, and everybody's talking about get out and go play golf. And I said, well, I can't go out and play golf if all I'm thinking about, you know, what my angle of attack is, what my ball flight is, what it looks like that. Man, I get out there and hit shots, you know, just set up, go through my routine, hit shots, hit a green, and then I try to make a putt, and then I move on to create a score. So all that tech or whatever probably hurting you more than it's helping you. And there's also this thought about thinking that the club face is square. And I use that great example of, you know, from the Karate Kid. So as I said, you know, one of the biggest things for me is, and that's why y'all see me hit the bit balls blindfolded, because it doesn't make a difference, because in my mind's eye, in my subconscious, I see the club face. I know where the club face is. Because why? Because as I said before, with this slightly little shut club face that I have going here, then all of a sudden when I come down and I roll the shaft, in essence, boom, top down, roll the shaft, move the arm assemblies, and in sense, when I come down, I know that my arms can only rotate so far. Both of them, they can only rotate so far. So my experience and my timing is basically to sit down and see how far that club face, that comes with experience, see how far that club face is gonna roll, how much is this gonna open, and then when I get it to a desired point that I want, then all of a sudden all I do is, quote unquote, lock in those dead fingers, just like you would do if you was using the ping man, how they screw them in. Y'all heard me talk about that before. And then all of a sudden now, I just make my top down swing, feel that rolling, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's the same swing over and over and over. As I said before, if I'm sitting up here trying to go perfectly square, then all of a sudden God knows, like I said, you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know if you're coming back down with it open. You don't know if you're coming back down with it closed. You don't know, because you're not building a consistent action over and over. Now, if I stood here and I rotated this right here, this club face, if I rotated it as I'm looking at a clock, clockwise over and over and over, I could continuously make that motion. Y'all see me do it with a bicycle, you know, rolling rolling the pedal back and forth. But this is the matter of setting back. And remember, when you're setting here, the arm is in a neutral position. You got 3 positions of the arm. I call it closed, neutral, and open. And the thing is this, is when I'm sitting here and I'm making my arm come down, when I'm taking it back, I'm pretty much in a neutral position. And then all of a sudden when I come down, all I'm doing is just opening. And that's it. I'm opening the arm. That's why it's top down. The hips are not going to open the arm. That's another reason that, top down. And all this comes from, like I said, it comes from experience and understanding. So people out there, if you want to use my work, I don't care if you use my work, but use it in a positive light. Because a lot of these people who try to make these observations, they've never seen me hit a golf ball. They don't know what it is that I do because they don't really ask. And anybody who's down at the Marriott Grand Vista who watched me hit golf balls, they'll tell you right now, we all hit some bad shots here and there. But let me tell you what, 99% of the time, you're going to see me hit nothing but a straight shot to a little fall off fade. But I can hit a draw whenever I want. Because why? Because I got control of the club face for one particular action, which is to roll the shaft and sit there and hit my little cut to a little straight shot. And it's the same move over and over. Now y'all understand why it's the same move over and over. And here's on another little note. Jack Nicklaus, I was looking at a magazine one time, this some years back. Jack Nicklaus was talking about the center of the club face. And Jack Nicklaus had made this statement that he wanted to feel like the center of the club face watches that ball all the way in his golf swing. So now if that center of the club face is watching that ball, then all of a sudden when I come back down, I've got even better control of that club face to roll the shaft, to strike it, to hit it any way that I want. So so all this thought about, the toe being shut or whatever and all that it leads to the high handicappers. No, people. Trying to get the club face square and trying to keep it square in essence or whatever, that's what leads to the problems. Because the only time the square club face matters is when it strikes the ball. And one of the easiest way for me to get that feeling of square is that when I roll that shaft and I know it rolls it all the way to it, to where it's going to be a little bit open or whatever, for my fade. I also can make that adjustment to where when it comes down to the ball that it can be square. But it has to be an action and a reaction. And that's the biggest thing. So many of people come down through here and they take their arms, instead if you were looking at a clock, and they roll it counterclockwise. And that's what makes them come out. That's what makes them come over the ball. That's what makes them hit the hooks. And then they're always making adjustments with the grip, with the hand, trying to make the body do everything. When the simple fact is that you can't get away from it. If you take that club face, and if y'all want to know how I do it, in essence, and they say, hey, some teachers have said that, one of the biggest problems with their students back in the day, and they messed up many students because they were trying to teach students, in essence, the problems that was going on with their golf swing. Well, people, I don't teach people the problems that go on with my golf swing. I teach people the problems in the sense that goes on in the golf swing. And the most important thing, like I teach you all, is that you got to get the club up, you got to get the club down. And as I said before, if you want to hit my little cut shot or my little straight shot, you learn how to roll the shaft with a good dead fingers grip. And that's like all the other problems, like I said, that exist with a lot of these teachings and this teaching and the stuff. A lot of it is because they just they're not teaching them the right things. That's just a problem. So, and this little Band-Aid that you put on your swing, because it is a Band-Aid, of course it's not going to translate to somebody else. I don't teach Band-Aids. I tell you exactly what to do, and I tell you exactly how to do it based on what the human body is telling us to do. And that's why my swing repeats so much. That's why I'm having so much success with people in the top down. I definitely don't have the subscribers that I want. I should be 100,000 subscribers. I don't know how that works in essence, but all I know is I just keep kicking this knowledge. But as they said before, if they're talking about you, you must be doing something right. And hey, that's all I can say. Top down must be doing something the right way. If they wouldn't be saying nothing. Hey people, if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. Remember how I make my swing. I do take it back just a little bit shut because I feel like the club face the center of the club face is looking at the ball. When I come down through here, one of the biggest things too, I also got complete control of the toe of the club. because I'd rather know where the toe is instead of the heel, in a sense. And if I got control of me personally, if I got control of the toe of the club, then I can get control of the center of the club face. So definitely, like I said, if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And you know how I say it all the time, people. Charles Calhoun, aka the Shade Tree Pro, always good golfing.